The Avengers radio series, a cultural phenomenon in South Africa back in the 1970s. South Africa was a country with no national television service. It wasn't until 1976 that the country would get its first taste of television broadcasts. But before that, radio was the primary medium of entertainment and information for the masses. This was the context when The Avengers, a British spy-fi series, made its debut on South African radio and became a cultural phenomenon. The Avengers was a British television series that originally aired from 1961 to 1969. The show revolved around the adventures of John Steed, a suave and sophisticated secret agent, and his various female associates. The series was a unique blend of traditional spy thriller elements with science fiction and fantasy, which set it apart from other shows of its time. While the series was hugely popular in the UK and had also made a significant impact in the American markets, being one of the rare British series given a network transmission slot, it was virtually unknown in South Africa. This was primarily due to the lack of a national television service in the country until 1976. However, as a film series, The Avengers was able to gain some exposure in South Africa through film rentals. But it was the launch of the radio series that truly brought The Avengers to the masses in South Africa. Come and listen at www.myclassicradio.net.
And stay tuned right now for those two characters with many characters, CBS Radio's Bob and Ray.
What did you say now?
I say now,
Bob Elliott and Ray Goulding present
the
CBS?
Right.
CBS. The CBS Radio Network.
Bob, who recently graduated from the Gillian announcing school, came off very, very well.
I was unprepared for that. You know, it's many times I hear that.
Course, Bob.
It was quite expensive.
I know you used up your entire GI Bill of Rights on it.
Well, what was left from my blacksmith job,
the business, that was fully placed. Still. I mean, a blacksmith shop in Orlando, Florida, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty
outside of Orlando, yeah.
Well, anyway, as the announcer said, this is the Bob and Ray Show, and welcome here for the next quarter hour.
I didn't get time to get the usual little tidbit before our show. Usually we have a cup of coffee and a sandwich or something to tide us over to dinner,
and a little dip here with a little thing, and kind of just takes the edge off our sharp appetite. You see, usually when the show ends, Bob and I go to a very exclusive restaurant here in Midtown Manhattan, where we're met by two charming... Bob, I'm going to stop right there.
Sure, why not?
Move along to the show, huh?
I thought maybe the coffee man was coming around.
Oh, maybe he is. Is the coffee man not there?
No, he is.
No. All right. Okay.
You often wonder why baseball, football, basketball, and everything is so popular in this country.
Now, let me see. Well, because it's hard to make up a new athletic game.
I guess it is, yeah.
Biff Burns, though, will be broadcasting a Fen game right here in just...
A what?
A Fen, I don't know, a Fen game in just a few seconds.
Hi, folks, this is Biff Burns broadcasting to you from this magnificent new Fen field here in Fargo, North Dakota, where in a very few moments the Fargo Rangers will be taking the field against the Riverside Redfoot. And seated alongside me is the inventor of the game of Fen, Kurt Hook. Say hello to the fans, Kurt.
Hiya, Fan.
Kurt has explained the refinements of the game of Fen to me, and Kurt, if I can prevail on you for a minute, I'd like you to explain the game to our listeners.
Okay, Biff. Well, Fen is played on a...
Oh, I'm sorry, Kurt, it's too late. The Rangers and Redfoots are coming out on the field. The team captains approach the referee. And it's the Ranger captain, Bud Bascom, wrestling the referee down to the turf first. The Rangers go into the lead, 1-0.
That was an excellent bring down by Bascom, Biff. Notice how close to the Fen flag Bascom's teammate was able to place the Fen block because of it?
Oh, no question about it, Kurt. It was a terrific bring down.
Oh, and not only that...
And there goes Johnny Slope of the Redfoots. He's picked up the fend block and he's off. He turns the alley, and I believe, yes, he did. Folks, Johnny Slope has just reached the soft dirt area in the alley.
I think I told you, Biff, to keep an eye on Johnny Strope before the game. He's going to develop into a fine fenner in another year or two, and now let's see how good he is at burying the fend block.
And Johnny Trout begins to dig as the two other members of the Redfoot squad man their positions, left cover and east wing. I can't see too well from here, but Johnny Trout has dug a hole about 2 feet deep.
Well, he'll need 3 if he wants to cover the fend block.
And here comes the Ranger team surging down the field. Their left cover and east wing are doing a great job carrying their front man, Captain Bascom, toward the Redfoot team.
Notice how well the Rangers carried, Biff.
And they dropped him. The left cover and east wing just dropped Bascom, and there's going to be a penalty there.
That's right. He'll get at least 3 minutes for that infraction, Biff.
3 minutes is right. There's the referee covering the fallen Bascom with the penalty canvas. Now, he'll have to stay under the canvas for 3 minutes, but his place is taken by 2 Ranger substitutes who are running onto the field right now.
I think I might point out they can't do any actual playing, Biff. The 2 substitutes are there to see that Bascom stays under the penalty canvas.
And it's Johnny Trope. He just finished digging in the soft dirt area, and he's placing the fend block in the hole.
Look out, here come the Rangers.
And the question is, can Johnny Trope cover the fend block with dirt and stamp it smooth before the Rangers get there?
He just might.
And he does. He does it. Johnny Trope finishes stamping the dirt smooth just as the Rangers converge on the area and start looking for the fend block.
It's going to be tough to find, Biff. Johnny Trope did a great job of smoothing out the dirt.
The Rangers have 11, 12 seconds left to find it. 8, 7. I don't think they're going to find it.
It's going to be close.
And the game is over. The Redfoots win 17-1 as Johnny Trope, perhaps the finest fighter in the game of fend, comes through with another clutch performance.
He's just great.
And as the fans swarm down on the field to look for the fend block, this is Biff Burns saying so long from this magnificent new Fend Stadium at Fargo, North Dakota.
Say, I have a note here. Dick Van Dyke wants us to say something pleasant about Funny Side Up.
Well, what's in it for him?
Well, he's taking Peter Donald's place this month. He wants to make the best showing possible, of course.
Well, what's in it for us?
Well, he said something pleasant about us on Funny Side Up.
Oh, yeah? What?
Well, I only heard about it indirectly. I'm not sure what. You know, though, people should listen to us. We're on in the evening, that kind of thing. And
that's all, huh?
Well, more, maybe. He might have said something about the guests, the tour of the week.
Yes, he might. Okay, then, Funny Side Up might be a very funny show, and it might be on CBS Radio every weekday. Dick Van Dyke might be a very funny guy, and Pat Carroll, Parker Penley, and Kenny Delmar might...
Okay, all right, you made your point.
I might have it, Pat, I guess. Welcome to the Perils of Paul, namely Special Agent Paul Delmonico and his faithful sidekick, Apprentice Special Agent Andy Chesney. An adventurous pair whose charmed lives defy the imagination. As you'll remember, last week's episode ended with Dr. Grenzauer and his henchmen finding Paul and Andy and shoving them into a steamer trunk. Then the infamous doctor and his henchmen deposited the trunk in a jungle hut and set off a small but efficient atom bomb. We begin today's episode with last week's explosion.
You all right?
I'm fine, Paul. How about you?
I'm okay. I guess Dr. Grenzauer and his henchmen didn't know it, but locking us inside this steamer trunk saved our lives. It protected us from the atomic blast. Now to get out of this trunk.
Yeah. Now for Dr. Grenzauer, right, Paul?
Okay, Andy. Well, I figure Dr. Grenzauer and his henchmen are well on their way to Montgamble by now. En route to the jungle laboratory of Professor Sterling.
Hey, look out, Paul. It's an elephant stampede.
Get down, Andy.
Hit the ground.
Andy. How about you?
I think I'll live.
Lucky for us that the lead elephant tripped and fell down. His great body provided us with a sheltered area to hide behind. All right, let's make tracks for Mocambo, Andy.
Right, Paul.
We mustn't let Dr. Grimsauer reach the general laboratory of Professor Stirling before we do.
But Dr. Grimsauer and his henchmen have at least an hour's start on us. We'll never catch them.
Look, Andy, the Lord Denison waterfall. Sheer drop of 700 feet. If we get down there in a hurry, we could cut Dr. Grimsauer off. What do you say, Andy? Do we do it?
Well, it's one chance in a million. That's good enough for me. But how are we going to do it, Paul?
I've always found, Andy, the best way to do a thing is to do it. Let's go.
Right. Paul, did you make it all right?
I did okay. Andy, it's lucky for us that those natives were stretching animal hides on a frame at the foot of the waterfall at this time of day.
That's right. They broke our fall and probably saved our lives.
Now, let's get to shore.
All right, you two, stay where you are. My men have you covered.
Dr. Grimsauer.
That's right. We've been waiting for you, and this time you won't escape.
What are you going to do with us, Dr. Grimsauer?
All right, men, tie them to the tree.
You'll never polish us off, Dr. Grimsauer.
Oh, no? All right, men, put on your gas masks.
Oh, you mean thing, you.
Release the poison gas.
You'll never get Professor Stirling's secret.
Now bring up the machine gun and train it on them. Carl, spread some broken glass around the foot of the tree.
We'll be seeing you, Dr. Grimsauer.
Fire!
We leave Special Agent Paul Delmonico and his faithful sidekick, apprentice Special Agent Andy Chesney, tied to a tree, choking on poison gas, being fired at by a machine gunner, and facing the extra deadly hazard of broken glass. Will they get out of this uncomfortable spot? Tune in next week's episode, The Valley of the Flaming Torch, to hear more about the perils of Paul. This has been a Messy production.
P. Wilson's having another one of his laurels, huh?
About time.
Hey, friends, we have made another mistake.
Oh, gee whiz, I was hoping you would mention that. Yes, 2 months ago, you'll remember, we selected the winner of the Bob and Ray 25 words or less contest.
And you'll remember it was Mrs. Dolores Prophet of Shag Falls, Vermont.
The first prize being a tropical fish and a fish tank to go along with it.
Well, we called a tropical fish dealer immediately and had the prize sent out to Mrs. Prophet. As far as we were concerned, the matter was closed.
Well, that's what we thought. But last week, we got a call from the tropical fish supplier, and he asked how Mrs. Prophet was enjoying the shark that he had sent her.
Naturally, we were shocked.
It didn't make one bit of difference to us when the dealer explained that he supplied tropical fish to aquariums, never sold any fish that ran under 4 feet in length.
Needless to say, our hearts went out to Mrs. Dolores Prophet up there in Shag Falls, Vermont.
First, we thought of going to Shag Falls to remove the shark from her home.
That idea was ruled out when someone told us it was a dangerous undertaking.
Then we thought of sending Mrs. Prophet a letter explaining that we'd be quite willing to mail her another gift in exchange for the shark.
But how would she get the shark out of the tank?
Finally, we decided on this idea to help Mrs. Prophet with her problem. We'd send her a letter asking her to send us a letter explaining in 25 words or less how things might be made easier for her with a shark in her home.
That was about the only thing we could do.
So far, we haven't received a reply from Mrs. Prophet.
So until the matter is straightened out, all we can do is give Mrs. Prophet some belated advice in the hope that she's listening right now.
Right. Now, Mrs. Prophet, I don't know how you're feeding that fellow you've got there, or if indeed you're feeding him at all, but if you are, put the food at the end of a 10-foot pole.
I understand, Mrs. Prophet, that whacking a shark's nose with an oar takes a good deal of the fight out of him.
I wouldn't keep any meat in the house, Mrs. Prophet. If just gets a shark very, very mad when he can't have it.
Don't let any of the neighborhood children sail boats in his tank.
Also, Mrs. Prophet, you might try feeding him 40 pounds of candy a day and hope that in a year or so his teeth will start falling out.
Whatever you do, Mrs. Prophet, don't stand in front of the tank and make fun of him.
So hurry and get your entry in, Mrs. Prophet. Write to Haphazard CBS Radio, New York City.
We'll have the writer to get work bid in just 10 seconds.
And that's it for now. Until tomorrow, this is Ray Goulding reminding you to write it to get work.
Bob Elliott reminding you to hang by your thumb.
Joe Buzz once over delightfully. The Mitch Miller Show, Sundays on the CBS Radio Network.
City editor.